Do 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 do. Not gonna lie, that song is actually one of the reasons why I went to go see this movie. What's up everyone on the internet? Thank you for making this video part. I'm so excited to upload this one for you guys because in this video we'll be taking a look at a movie that really got my attention with its absurd plot but is so magical. Suzume. So this movie came out late last year in Japan and is just starting to come out in theaters in the US right now, and is the latest film made by Makoto Shinkai. And I didn't realize this until after I watched the trailers, but I quickly found out that this is the same guy who made movies like Your Name and Weathering With You, two movies that I really enjoyed. I'll be sure to put some links in the description down below so you can check out my reviews for both of those movies. But anyway, once I found out that this film was made by Makoto Shinkai, this movie was instantly on my radar. And honestly, this film does not disappoint as Shinkai pulls you into a story about a cat, a chair, and a door. A combination that is so random and so ridiculous, and yet it really does work. At the same time, the movie does also provide an overall message about Japan's current depopulation crisis in some of the rural parts of the country, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's just focus on the overall story. So this movie is centered around Suzume, who's just a regular girl living with her aunt in a small town in Kyushu, until she comes across a strange guy called Sota who is looking for ruins. Well, she just so happens to know a place near her small town that was once populated but was later on abandoned, and it is there where she finds a door and a strange totem sitting next to it. As it turns out, what she just came across is known as a gate that leads to another world, and Soto is a closer, someone whose job it is to close these gates in order to prevent catastrophes from happening, and in this case, really big earthquakes. Oh, and that totem that's sitting next to the door, yeah, it's actually meant to be the gate's defender who's meant to protect this world from those catastrophes, but soon turns into a cute, adorable little cat before it runs off into the bush. Also, that cat decides to have some fun with our two main characters.
Hi there. You're in the way. Goodbye.
What the hell's going on?
Holy crap, what the hell just happened? Did that thing just turn Soto into a chair? And then the story takes off as we watch both Suzume and Soto set off on an adventure that will take them all across Japan, from Kyushu to Tokyo and finally to Tohoku, where they need to catch this cat in order to turn Soto back into a human. Oh, and by the way, while they're on this quest, they need to shut every gate they come across, because if they fail at least once, then the cities and small towns near those gates are gonna get flattened by earthquakes. So the stakes are pretty high, and the story does not waste any moment because these two characters quickly form a relationship. Because while Soto is already aware about how these gates function, he really can't do anything in his current state and needs Suzume's help. And one of the other things that I really liked about the story is how we're seeing this journey play out in front of Suzume's eyes, who really has no idea on how big Japan really is. Because when you see that she spent her whole life in this small town Kyushu, which by the way is at the very southern part of Japan, once she goes on this adventure with Soto, she gets to go to places where she has never been before. And I love how this movie gives us a bit of fish out of water story as we watch Suzume discover new things as she travels from city to city, which I'm pretty sure is most of us whenever we visit new places. However, beneath this quest to save the world is a hidden message about Japan's current depopulation crisis. Because currently, when you think about Japan, you think about Tokyo, you think about the big cities, the flashing lights, and what's happening right now is that because people are starting to move towards the big cities, a lot of the rural towns in the countryside are starting to become abandoned. Which is crazy because instead of demolishing these towns, the government just lets Mother Nature take over, where a lot of these abandoned towns soon become engulfed by the forest that surround them, making them look very post-apocalyptic. It's also really sad because some of these places can range from towns to schools and even amusement parks. When you see how some of these places were once places that had a lot of joy and laughter and where people shared a lot of cherished memories, now become quiet and left to rot in the forest, it's almost heartbreaking. So I love how Shinkai was not only able to tell a compelling story about trust and friendship, but also lets you know about a problem that's currently affecting the country right now. Honestly, the only reason on how I know about this is because I watch a lot of J-vloggers who, from time to time, do visit abandoned places in Japan. And because I do plan on traveling to Japan in the near future, I subscribe to them. But going back to the movie and also going back to the beginning of this video, one of the other reasons on why I enjoy this movie so much is because of that song that plays throughout the entire film. Suzume by Radwimps is such a nice little song that just hooks you in with those opening vocals that are just so soothing. And by the time you finish watching this movie, you can't help but hum that little tune. Anyway, aside from the music, if you were to tell me a year ago that I would watch a movie about a little chair and actually like it, I would have called you freaking insane. Well, call me crazy because holy crap, I don't know how they did it, but some of the best parts of this movie were about a little chair. No joke, this film was such a huge hit in Japan that even McDonald's made a commercial for this movie that features the chair. Okay, aside from Suzume and Sota, the cat in this movie was also a scene stealer. Daijin is his name, and oh my god, the way he acts in this movie is cute, but also creepy. Cute because he pretty much acts like a little kid looking for a friend to play with, and creepy because he's always smiling when there's trouble around. But what makes him such a delightful character to watch on screen is that beneath the cat form that he's taken shape of is a literal god with a childlike soul that makes you sympathize for him by the end of the film, and you sort of start to understand where he's coming from. Now, if I had anything negative to say about this movie, it would probably be the convenience of multiple plot points throughout the entire story. And what I mean by that is that at the beginning of the movie, they state that there are multiple gates set up all across Japan, and they all need to be closed in order to prevent disasters from happening. Okay, cool. And at one point, we also get a good look at Sota's apartment where he has a map of all the places and where he has been, all the gates that he has closed. Okay, sweet. So you're telling me that out of all the people in this country, there's only one person closing all these gates, and the gates that are opening up just so happen to be on our way while we try to get this cat. Really? Honestly, I think there should have been multiple gates opening up in various parts of the country, and I also think that there should have been at least a group of people trying to close these gates rather than handing the job over to one single person alone. But hey, it is what it is, and overall, I still really enjoyed the movie. It's got adventure, it's got romance, and at the same time, it also has a spiritual side that makes the tone more magical. It also makes you appreciate the place of where you live, while at the same time encouraging you to visit new destinations, because who knows, in a few years from now, those areas may be left abandoned. So if you're looking for something really special to watch, I highly recommend you watch this movie. Well, that's going to do it for this video, guys. That was my overall review on Suzume. If you like what you saw, hit the subscribe button so you can get always updates from this channel. I'll see you next time with a brand new video. Bye-bye.